answering this question, you can kind of give us your overall thoughts on the series. But with the uncertainty in the East next season, Tatum coming off the torn Achilles, he may be back by the end of the regular season, may not be. With the uncertainty in Milwaukee, Giannis Antetokounmpo may be willing to explore options outside of the Milwaukee Bucks. The Cavs are a team that just won 64 regular season games before flaming out in the playoffs in pretty epically historic fashion. With all that in mind and the uncertainty at the top of the East, G, does that boost the argument to potentially keep the core four together and let them run it back one more chance in Kenny Atkinson's second year with a full offseason with DeAndre Hunter, all those built-in components? Or are you on team, we've seen it 3 years in a row, we got to break this up in some capacity?
It comes down to what do you want to do? If you want to be a team that is, traditionally like the Utah Jazz or, the Phoenix Suns of the time during Jordan, or some of those teams like the Indiana Pacers, or even the New York Knicks during that time when Jordan used to play. If you want to be those teams and have really good regular seasons and lose in the playoffs, you can run it back. But for me, there was a couple of things that were very alarming to me. And I'm glad I got an opportunity to cool off a little bit so I could break it down in a way that people can grasp and understand. Darius Garland is a good basketball player. Jarrett Allen is a good basketball player. Evan Mobley is a good basketball player. But there is a marketed level between those three guys and Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell has a game where he was the guy sitting out there on that bench looking out into the court trying to figure out what was going on after the series was over, and he was sitting on the bench and just kind of going through his mind about what he could have done better and how things could have gone better. There's a difference between those guys. And I've done some thinking in the last 48 hours or so, and I just don't believe that you can teach or coach passion, intensity, and physical mental toughness. That isn't a thing. I've never seen a person turn from soft to aggressive at any point in my life as what I've played in college or playing sports or watching. I've never seen that. So,
or from tough to soft.
Or yes,
when you're tough, you are always tough.
That's your mental. It's what you come with. I think that's a skill set. I think that's an ability, and I think that comes to you innately. When you look at Darius Garland, problem with Darius is he's a great player, but he's not going to grow up and be 6'5". He's a slight point guard. That's never going to change. You can say he can get in the weight room, put 20 pounds on it. That's not realistic. So when you have a guy like Darius Garland and he's being hunted on defense, you're gonna do that consistently on defense throughout the playoffs with whoever you're gonna play. When you get Jarrett Allen, they know what the game plan is. 3 years in a row, they're gonna try to fight, bully, punch, kick, scream, do everything that they can do to do that. That's not changing in their game. So you have to look at it and say, do you want to imagine that they can just do it? And what you're asking is yourself to get lucky. I want to improve my team, and I want my team to play based on what we are. You never want to base what your team is on whether somebody else is injured, whether somebody else is hurt, or another team has deficiencies. Because the reality of it, the most disappointing thing that I've found is that from our fans, from a certain extent, there's this apathy. There's this, we were hurt, we were injured, guys were out, we'll do it. This is the third year in a row we've been talking about that stuff. We've been, Atlanta, you missed the play-in game. Then the first year you got beat 4-1 against the Knicks. Last year, 4-1 against the Celtics. Now it's 4 games to 1 against the Pacers. Sometimes you got to say, maybe you're just not that good. Maybe you're not better than the Pacers. And I don't believe the Cavs are better than the Pacers.
They're not.
You have to show that. Like, you guys can't make things up in your head and it's headcanon where, hey, guys are injured and, we can figure it out and they'll get better. You've been beaten 4-1, so you're not better than the Knicks. You're not better than the Celtics, even without Tatum. You're not better than the Pacers. They've shown you that. So at some point in time, you're going to say, do we have what it takes to get better? And the skill sets that I think they're lacking aren't things that you can just assimilate overnight. I think the roster is flawed. I think they're a great regular season team. I think they're a great team. And the problem that we have is there's such good people. They're fun to watch. They're easy to root for. That is clouding our judgment and saying that if we just let it sit here and go as is, that one day it'll just all click for us. I don't believe that to be. And they have to do something and if they want to tweak this roster to get to championship level.
Okay.
The question about does the uncertainty in the East mean they should keep the core four together? That's not the question for me. I do think Giannis could be on the move. That's been a talking point in the league for the last 3 or 4 years.
Can Jimmy send him here?
Well, okay, so we
something
talked
that would
about
make
that.
Cleveland sports fans cheer for once?
First of all, it's not possible under the league rules with where the Cavs are salary-wise. Giannis is not coming here.
Even if they send similar contracts?
No, you can't do it
So
because they're
will not
second
happen.
apron team.
Definitively will not happen.
They would have to trade Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade into another team's cap space, number one, to get under the second apron.
Well, that could happen.
Not really, because who's going to take Isaac Okoro for $11 million?
You're right.
But
suckers board every 15 minutes.
So here, you have to get out of the second apron first.
Yeah.
And then you have to match the salaries with Giannis. Is it impossible? No, but it's like the movie Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance.
Well, remember when DeAndre Hunter happened, we were all like, oh, they did it.
Well, they got out of the tax and they added a key piece. Now, what DeAndre Hunter did was it solidified the fact that they were going to be a second apron team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think Giannis could be on the move. Again, that's been a talking point in the NBA. I've had calls about that for years. I'm actually surprised that the Bucks GM just got an extension because I thought he was going to get fired and Doc was going to move into the president role. That was kind of what was being murmured behind the scenes.
Right.
And I think Darvin Ham was going to take over. But so yeah, Boston is going to break apart this summer. I think they're going to break off some pieces.
That much is almost certain.
Shams already said that, and with Tatum going down, now they may try. I wonder if they may try and dip out of the tax entirely.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
And try and cleanse and sort of reset.
He's
the
not
clock
playing
a little
next
bit.
year.
No. So, but that isn't the issue with the Cavs. The issue with the Cavs is you have 2 years left with this group, and then your own second apron misery, like what Boston is about to experience, is going to hit. I just said on the show the other day when I was driving in, I had a conversation with a guy from another team who thinks they have next year and that's it. And they're going to have to make hard decisions after next year, the Cavs will. I'm resting on the idea that they have 2 years left. That to me is more imperative than anything Milwaukee does with Giannis and anything Boston does. Yeah, the East is wide open. And if you believe in this team, so you're looking at your own timeline more so than what else is going on around you. You already know it's going to be open. But if you still believe in this group, okay, but you have 2 years.
Should they believe in this group?
I said after the game, I don't know how you bring Jarrett back, and I don't want to keep picking on Jarrett. I don't want to make this a pick on Jarrett thing. But I think he's the easiest piece to move that you'll get value for him. The problem with Darius is he's making $40 million. And this is a league-wide problem. We saw that with, I think it was Wagner that got the max extension in Orlando, and you're like, is he really a max player? The league is now at the point where they're handing max contracts out to guys that aren't necessarily max level players, but you don't really have a choice.
You want to keep your team intact.
So you either have to give them the max or what's the alternative?
Right.
And I think Darius falls in that category. Darius is a great player. He's a great player when he's healthy, when he's on, but is he a max level player? I don't know, maybe. Let's back to the Browns argument. If you could squint hard enough, you might be able to see it. So now you're kind of in a corner here with some of these contracts. So I don't know that you're going to be able to move Darius and get full value for him. I talked to one team that said we wouldn't touch him for $40 million. I know of another team for sure that say, yeah, we think there's something there.
Yeah.
But Jarrett at $20 million, Jarrett's on the books for $20 million for one more year, and then his extension kicks in, and I just don't see it like Jarrett against the Knicks saying the lights were too bright and Mitchell Robinson pushing him around. And then last year, the fiasco with the injection and the ribs and leaving and never coming back. And now this year, he had moments in this postseason, but then in the 2 games when you needed him most, he was absent. He had 11 points and 6 rebounds in 2 games combined in the most important 2 games of the stretch. So that's where I would look. That I think if you're going to make a move, that's where I would start. Make Evan the center. Every time I've had any conversation with people in the league about how you guard the Cavs, it's never about. I've said this on the show before. It was always with Evan at the center and 4 shooters around him. Jarrett was never really part of that conversation.
Yeah, I just his body. The body language in this series. This is why I'm a firm believer. You can't change that. Like, you can't change the mentality. I got a wake up call when DeAndre Hunter, the Pacers literally challenged the Cavs and said, you know what? They were willing to get one of their best bench scorers thrown out of a game just to see what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Let me punch you in the stomach and see how this feels. They ejected him, didn't need him, and then they washed the Cavs. I have to say this. There were a couple comments by Kenny Atkinson that really, it shocked me. Like, when he said in his closing press, he said their physical energy levels were here, and they were able to sustain that throughout the entire the entire game, and we had guys that were just completely gassed. Max Strus says, as a veteran, hey, the Miami series, we swept them. It did prepare us for how these guys.
What's so funny about that is
we talked about that.
I had Tristan tell me that they felt like Miami would prepare them because it was going to be such a unique challenge.
Miami fooled them.
They talked about the level of physicality and how tough and rough. And I just said to myself, I said, guys, this is the bare minimum. You're sounding like you guys just weren't in shape. Like, you didn't expect them to come out. And did you not watch the Milwaukee series?
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like they were all caught off guard.
Now, Indiana does play a unique style, and there are not many NBA teams. And Kenny said, I mean this as a compliment, not as like making fun of them, but Indiana plays like a college team. They're going to press you. They're going to pick you up full court. Yep. And NBA teams aren't used to playing that. There's no other NBA team. Mike, am I wrong? Is there any other NBA team that does that as consistently as
Portland presses
the Pacers do?
Yeah,
that
but
often?
but they don't run offensively the same way.
But here's the before the series was pace.
And I had said that.
And they got outpaced.
And I said, Indiana plays fast and they score a ton of points. That's the way Indiana plays. And when you see it once during the regular season, and then you move on to the next team. I think I probably dismissed it more than I should have when I kept saying they play hard, they play fast, they score a ton of points. That going in. But when you have to play that way every night, 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row, I think that's where it wears you down. Because if you play them on Tuesday and then you move on to Detroit on Thursday, okay, you don't feel it as much.
Yeah, but in a series, you should, along the progression line, you should be better at that in Game 2 than you were in Game 1. Better at that in Game 3 than you were in Game 2, and I didn't see any of that.
But if you haven't played that way all year and now you get hit with it 6 and 5 in a row.
I know that, but that's the playoffs.
Go ahead,
so
Mike.
I also think, and this is, I'm not making an excuse because I don't think there's any excuse for
there is no excuse
after Game 2. So I just want to make this clear.
Yeah.
I'm not making an excuse for what happened. But when you're playing without 3 of your key guys in Game 2, and I'll make the big point here. Donovan had a 50.1 usage rate in Game 2.
Yep.
Not only is he carrying an entire load offensively, but they're picking you up full court from offense. Pacers picking you up full court. So now you're executing and using more energy just to bring the ball across half court.
But it's also
and
they're
you're chasing
using more
guys.
energy.
Say it again.
They're also using more energy.
They're used to that, though. They've
I
played
know
that for
they
82
are.
games.
It wore us down like that.
Game 2, I think when we look back on it, and Donovan was cramping at the end. They couldn't get the ball in. Jarrett Allen played a really good Game 2, but at the end was a little short on the rebound, played more minutes than he had. I think Game 2 zapped every ounce of energy out of this team.
Especially because of the outcome. Had they won that, there might have been a bounce back.
You compound the outcome to the fact that the guys on the court that night had nothing left.
But what's weird about that is the one game
dry.
in the series they won was the game after that.
And Indiana missed shots that game. That was the one game Indy didn't shoot.
Okay, but we won that game.
I'm just once again not making an excuse. I'm saying that game wrung every ounce of energy
fair.
out, and
That's
then in
fair,
games 3, 4,
it
and
did.
5, with hobbled guys getting picked up full court, they just never had the legs to bounce back in a way. And that's a testament to Indiana and a fault of Cleveland. I just think that's the reality of the situation, not an excuse, the reality.
Here's my thing. I just have a hard time going back. If this was a 1-year thing, fine. But you've been gentlemen swept 3 years in a row in the second round.
Yes.
That is it's not a one-off anymore. These are specific teams that are beating you, different teams.
Different teams.
And they beat you a different way. So here's the thing. You got out-physicaled and you got beat because in the Knicks series, they were more physical. The Celtics, they were longer, more athletic, and they hit more shots.
They were better.
Yeah.
They were
better.
The Celtics are the one team you can
I know
say
we
that-
got to move on.
The Pacers, they got you with speed and pace. My thing is, and
Yeah.
just to throw out really quickly,
Oh, we do?
if
we got time, G. You're good.
If you
Don't
can
rush.
squint and you look, you can look. I don't think the Cavs have a major advantage given what the regular season is and what I saw in the playoffs. Playoffs and regular season are two different things. The Pistons in the playoffs look damn good.
They did.
The Pacers in the playoffs look damn good. The Knicks look good. The Celtics look good. Hey, give Orlando a couple more shooters. They look good. The Cavs are not head and shoulders better than everybody else. I think we need to tamp down that. Like, yes, we play well, and we are not head and shoulders or better than all these other teams.
My answer
We're
to
just
the
not.
question starts right there. It starts right there. Jason tells me, and you know far more about this than I do. We can't move contract. We can't move. This is who we are.
They can move contracts, but they can't combine to get like a Giannis or Kevin Durant.
Right. Okay. So if I'm operating under your assumption that this is the team, we're going to bring it back. We have to bring it back.
I think they could make moves. They could move a
Okay.
Jarrett.
Well, then I misunderstood your
I'm just
starting
saying,
point.
My starting point was Giannis isn't coming here.
Okay, that's fine. Then that would change my answer a little bit. Here's my deduction after watching this year after year after year. In February, I said, you know what? I was wrong last year. I said that you've got to move either Allen or you've got to move Garland. And I go, man, I would make a terrible GM because I'm really fickle, and I was wrong. That was a huge mistake. This team is, as built, can win a championship. Now I'm back to where I was last year after seeing the meaningful part of the season. And here's where that is. We don't have the dogs to win. You're right. The regular season is rec league, and the playoffs is travel ball. And this rec league champion, when they step up to travel ball, isn't ready for that.
Yeah.
And they play a cute brand of basketball. It's fun. Zip, 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 zip. Wide open, boom. In the playoffs, all those wide open zip, zip, zips, round the horn, open threes from the corner, that's not there. Why? Teams ratchet it up. As everybody else ratcheted up their game, we're staying where we were, but the only thing is what we did that worked in the regular season now doesn't work in the playoffs. So we have a regular season paper champion. That's what we have. We have a team that can win 64 games, that can set damn near, think about this. We were a win or two from setting a franchise record for most wins in the regular season, and we had LeBron James for a decade.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had this damn near all-time great regular season team, and then we get into the playoffs, and we pound our chest because we eliminated the 10 in 4 straight. And then we came up against a team that everybody, including Vegas and all the experts, said maybe 5. We didn't think that we would lose the series in 5. We didn't think that was even a possibility.
Crazy.
What happened was the Pacers, with their coach, who is a fantastic Hall of Fame coach, he is a terrific in-game coach. I kept waiting for the Cavs to make changes when that 3-2, when all of a sudden it wasn't a pop quiz and they were ready for it.
Right.
I'm like, oh, we're going to stick with this. That's cute. That's interesting. It's not working.
Destroyed it.
And we didn't make in-game adjustments. And this was not his first rodeo. I know that he had a playoff series with the Nets that was, you might as well throw out, and a little bit of a playoff against Miami. But I didn't see a progression as things went along where he suddenly was playing chess and Carlisle was playing chess too. It was Carlisle's chess against our checkers. And so I have to move my expectations. If these core 4 are coming back, and I don't know, maybe there will be moves made. The moves that are needed, we need another dog, which can't just be Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's a dog.
Yeah.
He is and I'm not just talking about his game.
His mentality.
His mentality. He's here to cut your heart out and stomp on it on the floor. And he's the only one that's there for that.
And we talked about this a little bit on the show the other day. He is at the point in his career where he's obsessed with winning. He's consumed with it, and the rest of the roster is not at that point yet.
Nope.
And it's a progression.
And they have to get there naturally, though, Jay.
Yes. Like
and you talk about a progression.
He wasn't like this in year 2.
No, he wasn't. But you know what? Now his career. What's the narrative on his career right now?
Can't make it out of the second round.
Can't get out of the second round. And it's not just a narrative, it's facts.
Yeah.
And he's looking around his locker room saying, I got a bunch of guys that don't care that they can't get out of the second round, but now that's my jacket
He's
that I have
farther
to
down
wear.
the path.
He is, but my God,
go
shouldn't
ahead,
the
you
got
others be
something you wanna
close?
get out. Get it out.
What are I was watching Kobe, and Kobe was talking about how, he said there's a very few small percentage of people in the league that are maniacal about winning. He says once you get the contract, once you get you got the max deal, what's left?
Yeah.
That's right.
He said what's like to some people. He said it's okay to win 64 games or how many you're going to win
And bow out in round two.
It's fine. And when I watched the press conferences, everybody came up there and trotted up there and said it was a step. And I just was like, man, Kobe's rolling over his grave when you hear somebody say a team.
No,
60,
I think
it was a step
The
backwards.
players took accountability that this was bad.
Yeah, but what
Max did. Donovan did.
Donovan definitely did.
What I'm saying when I'm looking at it, and I go to Darius Garland, right? He has to be at this point. He has to be one of the guys that you can roll when everything gets stagnant. I watch these other teams when everything gets stagnant and it stops, and all the cute ball movement, and they're hounding you, full court pressure, and they're in your back pocket. Can you show up and say, Donovan, I got it. Don't worry about it.
I don't think
got
they
you
have that
25.
guy right now.
They don't got that.
And
Evan Mobley is not that guy either.
Darius, does this bother anybody else? Darius, at times of real strife in this series, was laughing. And I don't know, maybe that was like a nervous laughter.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a terrible look. It's a bad look.
I don't want that.
You just don't know. You just don't know. Like it's a camera. It goes back to when Flacco and Deshaun chest bumped and everyone thought they had a great relationship. And I'm like, guys, that was the one interaction in 6 weeks.
Jay,
that could have been the one.
I saw Garland laughing at several different points of several different games.
Yeah.
And I get maybe that's how he handles it. But at one point there was a avalanche going on against them.
Yeah.
And they took a shot of him and he's just like laughing.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look. I want him to be pissed like Donovan is.
I had a problem. I didn't even have a problem with it. More than that, he calls out Tyler Hero. All right.
Yeah.
You call Tyler Hero out. Tyler Hero playing. You missed the next two games. You talk about people is switching. Oh, all we got to do is keep hunting out Tyler Hero. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, hold on. Darius Garland, do you know that the game plan for the Cleveland Cavaliers is to hunt you out and pick and rolls on defense, and you're not playing? I'm like, I don't like you hyping somebody else out, and then your players, your guys that are playing have to go play this guy. Luckily, he had a horrible shooting night. But listen, I didn't see that same energy against the Pacers.
No, wasn't there at all.
Where was that energy at? Calling when Nimhard and Mather, all them. I just need for those two. Those two are the linchpin. People kept saying it's Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley may get there. He's 23, right? He's a young guy. But the disappointing thing about it is the Cavs are not a young team. Look how many years Darius has been in the league. Donovan is 28. Yep. Jarrett Allen's been in the league a long time. Max Strus is going to be in it for a long time. And then you have to throw in the fact that you have Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro, who's shown you 4 years in a row that you cannot count on them. In the postseason, you look at it and you say, how did it become this? Well, if you do the deductions, it just goes down to Donovan Mitchell. And if Evan Mobley can give you something, that's not good enough to beat the rest of the team.
A couple of things on this. Number one, in the conversation of Donovan's ahead of them on the just consumed by I have to win, and I don't think the rest of them are there yet. It's part of it is these guys just have to get there on their own organically, and part of it is Donovan has to bring them along. When LeBron
can he?
When LeBron came back, that was one of the things that he did. Because he had a young team that had. You think Kyrie was desperate to win? You think Tristan was desperate to win?
But they got rid of Deion Waiters.
They got rid of Deion.
Yeah.
And they had young dudes who were making some money. Kyrie had just signed his max deal, hadn't even kicked in yet when LeBron came back. Tristan hadn't even really gotten paid yet. And they were just young kids that had no experience with winning. But they had LeBron, they had Mike Miller, and they had James Jones.
Yeah.
And their role, and even Sean Marion to a little bit lesser extent, their role was to bring these guys along and to show them the importance and the impact on this. And
so you can make dogs. You can turn them into dogs.
I don't believe that.
I
I don't think you can.
I don't know. But
if it's in there, maybe, but I just haven't seen it.
I do think that there comes a point for, and G, you're right. Like I had that conversation with LeBron his last year here about some dudes ain't built for the moment, man. Like they got their money, they got their bag, and they're good. And you can't win with those guys. And I'm not saying that this roster is full of those guys, but they exist. But they have to. It's on Donovan to bring if they can get to that point. It's on him to help bring them along and get them to that point.
They need to have personal pride. They need to have an unsatiable desire to win. And Donovan does. Answer this question, both of you guys. How many players on the Pacers played at or above their skill set in this series?
All of them.
Every single
all of them.
How many Cavaliers played at or above their skill set?
One.
And to me,
that's
the ultimate.
That's a great question.
That's it.
That's a great question.
In the playoffs, you have to play better than you are. And we didn't even have guys. And you know what? Even Donovan Mitchell, when I asked myself that question, I thought, God, if I'm given the grade for the whole series, Donovan Mitchell. But because he was the only guy doing it, we also saw him shoot abysmal from behind the arc. Yeah. And at one point missed 3 straight free throws.
Yeah.
Like, I would have bet $1 million that would never happen to Donovan Mitchell.
You said something interesting, G, about different teams beating them. And I think it's a really important point that we haven't really talked about. There isn't a boogeyman in the East that they can't get through. Like, Toronto was a really good team, and they couldn't get past the Cavs because LeBron and LeBronto and all that.
The Hawks, too.
The Hawks as well.
Couldn't get there.
And Thunder against the early version of the Warriors.
It happens. Yeah. And, like, how many years did the Bulls struggle to get through the Pistons back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the case here. It's a different team that's beating them every year. It's and
styles.
And because you said the Pacers are better. I don't believe the Pacers are better. I believe the Cavs are a better team. When the Cavs are healthy, I believe the Cavs are a better team. But you can look at this and say, well, that's fine, but this is 2 years in a row now where they haven't been healthy. So does that mean you need to make changes? Because
God, look at they scaled back everybody's minutes.
But that was the disturbing thing too.
But
everybody should have been fresh, rested, healthy, and ready to go, and they weren't. And Jay, I know we could argue till the cows come home that the Pacers or the Cavs are the better team, but styles make fights, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the best fighter in the world has a kryptonite, and it's one guy that can deliver it, and he just can't get over the hump. Like everybody, we all knew Mike Tyson was a better fighter than Buster Douglas, but Buster landed one, and on that night he was the better fighter, and that's all that he needed to be.
Right.
This isn't the case of, oh my God, they beat everybody but the Pacers or the Knicks or the Celtics. My thing on this is the Pacers are a better team, guys.
I believe it.
They played 9 games this season. 9. And the Cavs won 2? How many times they were 3-1 in the regular season and 4-1 in the playoffs. So the Cavs were 2-7 against the Pacers. Here's the most blow-away stat of the entire season. The Cavaliers all year long lost 10 home games. 5 of them were to the Pacers.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Their style just is better. What they do, and it probably has something to do with the coach and their personnel too, but they're just better than us.
I still think the Cavs are a better team when they're healthy. They weren't healthy. That did play a role.
2-7.
But this is, but 2 of those games were late in the year and the Cavs didn't play anybody.
And playoffs mattered.
I look at it, Jason. They got destroyed in Game 4.
Yeah, they did.
Game 4, there's no excuse for what.
Yeah. But it happens. Like, listen, I'm not trying to make excuses.
Tough.
Teams get blown out in the playoffs all the time. They do.
I know.
But if you don't blow Game 2, now you're coming home 2-2, and it's a totally different series than what it was. So Game 2 will always be the crippling point.
They own that.
But I think there comes a point where you have to stop saying, hey, if they're healthy, they're the better team.
Right. Because
this is twice now, 2 years in a row, where they weren't healthy, and so therefore they weren't the better team. Either you have guys who can't play through the injuries, who it impacts because guys are hurt all the time,
dogs,
and they
Jay.
still manage to play through.
Donovan's a dog.
So you have to look at this and say, is it just really, really, really bad luck 2 years in a row, or is it the fact that we have guys who, when they get hurt, they can't play to the level that they're
You said something
to.
on your Channel 3 hit with Nick and I the other night that was absolutely true. My co-anchor at the time, when you were saying it, looked at me and said, is that true? And I said, yeah, it's true. You'd said that of all the injuries, Perhaps the one that should have kept a player out was Donovan. And he's the guy that played.
Yep.
It comes back to my point of you win with dogs.
Yeah.
And we got too many cats.
Yeah.
You win with dogs. You win with guys that say, yeah, I'm hurt. Of course I'm hurt. We're all hurt. It's May. I'm playing.
Yep.
Because this means more to me than my paycheck.
Could you tell me, I can give you 5 teams in the East that are more physical than the Cavs?
Oh, I can too. There's probably more than 5.
And that, to me,
New York, Boston, Detroit, Indiana
Detroit,
now,
yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah,
There's
at
5.
least.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's probably the only 5 in the East.
Still, you can't be the 6th toughest team in the East to win it.
We got to look at construction. Those teams and their best players are 6'7", 6'8", 6'10".
Yeah, you're right.
They aren't like small guys. These guys come at you with waves of size. It's just not the starting lineup. They bring size off the bench.
And our best players are 6'2" and 6'1".
And so you're gonna have to deal with that. It's not going away. It's not like these. And if you get the Cavs, I believe Orlando is like, yeah, give me the Cavs. If you got
nobody's scared of the Cavs
at all,
nobody's scared. Of them.
When you get, and my thing is, hey, look, the question is whether the fans will accept it or not. It's just like this. We kind of alluded to it earlier. Will they make major moves? I don't think they will, because one, the fan base isn't going to be that outraged anyway. A lot of people just like going to the games, and they're a good show, and they're nice guys. And hey, we'll see if somebody else gets hurt so we can be good, or we'll see if we look up, or we can hit shots, or hopefully we'll be. But I always go back to this. There are some teams that are going to try to win at all costs. Every business isn't like that. There's different thought processes that go into it. Like Jason said, maybe it's a 2-year window. Maybe you hope, maybe Evan Mobley grows up and he develops his game more. Maybe Darius Garland stays healthy. But I'm going to tell you this. There's a reason why you're losing in the second round. Because those teams play a specific style that is going to eliminate the finesse play that you like to run.
Yeah, we hit threes until we were guarded.
And until somebody is on you and get back. With Ty Jerome, we saw why he's not a starting point guard. Athleticism. We see why Sam Merrill can't get his own shot. Athleticism. Dean Wade is going to fall apart. Isaac Okoro can't hit a shot to save his life in the playoffs. When you have those 4 guys and you're counting on them, and they got athletic dudes that are coming at you waves, pressing from Jump Street, tough to win.
2 things really quick, because I know we got to move on. I was hoping we had some time for the Brown schedule.
We'll do another day. We'll do another day.
I'd wrap it up with this for you guys. Do you have faith that they'll figure this out by next postseason? And who's going to win the East?
I'm picking
this year.
I mean, did we lose to the eventual Eastern Conference champions again? And can the Pacers win the NBA championship?
What's the Boston series? I didn't check.
They're down 3-2, but
down 3-2
they don't have their
tonight.
Superman.
I would pick the Knicks.
You pick
I just think
over the Pacers.
I just think Brunson's a better. They have a better. They can match them physically. And
you know what's going to be
closer.
fascinating if those 2 teams end up matching up in the next series? The Cavs did all the load management, restricted minutes. They wore down against Indiana.
They did.
The Pacers, the Knicks, are the opposite. They play 6 guys, and they play 47 minutes a game.
I know.
Is that sustainable
against
the Pacers'
pace
and how they play over the course
Can they
of the
figure it
series?
out, the Cavs?
Can they figure it out?
In terms of what?
In terms of winning a championship?
Like, none of this. Look, we said this year, if they don't make the the NBA Finals, this is a failure. This was an epic failure.
No, I
Are
think
we
conference
talking about
finals
another
was-
failure next May? Or do you think they can figure this out?
Would I pick them to win a championship?
Just win the East.
No.
That's the next step.
No.
I think they very much could win the East next year.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
And
I don't
quickly, who's your pick in the East?
I'll take the Pacers.
I do too. I think this is a very good and well-coached basketball
The
team.
way that this is breaking,
and they
the
get
way
it.
that it's falling, I would take the Pacers. I'm not counting out Boston at all, by the way.
No, that'd be silly
Even
to
without
do that.
Tatum. But I do
Because
think
if they win tonight,
All the pressure's back on.
good luck back
Yeah.
in Boston in Game 7.
I think OKC wins the whole thing.
Yeah, they look
Game
like a
7 on
juggernaut.
Sunday is going to be fun for that.
Yeah, they may
Yes,
not
they
even.
will.
Denver may beat them, which is funny because going back to the stat that Mike first polled, 14 teams prior to this year won at least 64 games with a margin of victory of at least 9 points. All but 12 of the 14 won a championship. And the two that didn't were the Spurs and the Warriors in 2016. And now this year, the Cavs and Thunder are both in that category. And if OKC loses to Denver, both of those teams are out before the conference finals.
I would also
There's
say
no trophy for regular season wins.
I would also say if the Cavs made the finals, I would have the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, or OKC beating them. If
yeah,
they're not
as things
better.
are now.
Yes.
All right.